Chapter 1. Between the Heights and the Depths. High on the bleak flanks of the Himalaya mountains, where no other animal life can survive and no green thing can grow, mountain climbers have found little jumping spiders. It is thought that they feed on pollen grains blown up to those high places by the wind. Eagles and vultures soar over those lonely peaks, though they come down to lower altitudes to nest. Life is moving at the other extreme too, in the darkness of the ocean's floor. Strange fish live there in spite of enormous pressure and glacial cold. Some of them are furnished with phosphorescence as if they were carrying lanterns in the ocean's dark. Here too are diatoms, microscopic plant life of the sea, and little single-celled creatures called radiolarians that look like lacy snowflakes. Between these heights and depths, as the ball of the earth moves around the sun, are all the living things we know: the trees and the grass, the spiders and the bees, the ants and the grasshoppers, the birds and bright-scaled fish, the oysters and clams, the dolphins, whales, and man himself. The earth and air and sea are filled with their activity. They are feeding and growing, reproducing their kind, and dying in endless cycles. Free animals and those with hairy hides are moving through the forests and across the plains. Birds are gathering for their great migrations. Mosses and lichens, ferns and fungi are taking nourishment from the earth and air. Clams, sponges, and corals follow their various ways. For life is movement and activity. The only real quietness is death. Among all the various living things, man takes his place, for he is part of them. Like all the rest, he must seek nourishment, must reproduce his kind, and die. But man is different from the other living things. He is the only one who can control the environment in which he lives, and only gradually has he become aware of the life around him. Only very recently has he understood that all living things are connected with one another like a great chain of many links, and that he himself is part of the chain. When he learned to use fire, to domesticate animals, and cultivate the fields, he had dominion over living things. He learned early which serpents were dangerous, which vegetables could be eaten, which animals tamed for work. He learned to live in a cave and later to build himself a house. He learned to use furs and fleece of animals to make himself garments because nature had given him such poor protection from the cold. Man was different from the living things around him because he used his ingenuity to sustain his life and to control his environment. But though man domesticated the things around him, he did not understand them, nor did it seem at all possible to him that there was any connection between him and them. He would have been surprised if anyone had told him that he was in any way related to a jellyfish, or that the substance of a lily pad was like the stuff of which his hand was made. A jellyfish was a jellyfish, a lily pad was a lily pad, and he was a man. There were countless plants and animals he had never even noticed, but it did not matter. As time passed, gifted men of various races took living things as models for designs in paintings or in weaving. So, in the old Egyptian papyrus, you may see ducks swimming among the reeds at the edge of the Nile, or in a Persian rug, a pattern of intermingled flowers. The Minoans carved animals and painted them on the walls of their palaces more than 2,000 years before Christ. Here you may see antelopes quietly feeding, or startled at a sound. There fallow deer are browsing, or dogs are chasing them. The figures are carefully portrayed. The lie of the feathers on a bird's head, the teeth in a lion's mouth, the placing of the scales on the side of a fish, all these were noticed and set down. But the purpose of such work was to affirm the beauty of fish, beast, or flower, not to explain its structure. Perhaps the artist portrayed it so accurately because he could imagine nothing more perfect than its natural form. The Greeks, with their boundless curiosity and their zest for living, were the first to be scientifically interested in living things. Hippocrates, in the 7th century before Christ, founded a school of medicine where dissections were done and a list of medicinal plants were made. We still have a few of Hippocrates' writings. It is possible to see in them how the ancient physicians worked. One passage of his book is especially interesting, for it shows what might be called a scientific attitude toward the human body. Some people had said that certain diseases were caused by the gods, but Hippocrates wrote, quote, "It does not matter whether you call such things divine or not. In nature all things are alike in this, that they can be traced to preceding causes." Unquote. Those early Greek scientists in Hippocrates' medical school, forever trying to seek out the causes of things, did not stop even at trying to find out the cause of life itself. All things are made of earth, air, fire, and water, they said. But even the early Greeks did not observe nature for its own sake, but only to cure the ailments of their bodies. Aristotle was the first to watch, to try to classify, to attempt to find out how life begins, and to write down his observations. Some scientists today believe he was the greatest natural scientist of all time. The questions that Aristotle asks have not all been answered. For a long time, the books that he wrote were neglected and his work was half forgotten. Then, one after another, gifted, curious men took up the work he had begun, found errors he had made, checked facts he had established, added new facts, until gradually science attempted to explore everything in the domain of life, from the highest mountains to the deepest seas.